Boop boop ba-doop boop. Is it working? It is working. Cool. Wait, did I change the thing? I did change the thing. Let's post this. Oh. Right, let's do a quick double check. Double check, double check. Yep, that's me. Wait, let me hear me. Yep, that's me. Wait, let me hear me. Yep, I sound great. That's just me being cocky. Right. Welcome, 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 welcome to Monday. So it's the Jazz Lounge, where we chill. We're gonna talk about what happened last week. I had an okay last week. Honestly, for me, it would be considered a busy week. But honestly, for most people, I imagine it wouldn't be considered a busy week because I did a couple things, not counting the streams. So, I mean, that just shows with me. Busy? No, not really. Like, busy for me, which isn't hugely busy for, like, the average person. Like, and when I mean busy, I mean, I did something that wasn't the norm. That's really it. Anyway. It's like... So, for example, like, I had D&D. That's technically out of the norm, because I only do that 50% of, every other week. I played a new game that I'd never played before. Yeah, it's not much more than that, I'll be honest. I tried ramen for the first time. That was pretty good. Pretty good to try. Like, things like that. It's like little things, you know? I had a quick look at the new... Well, new game for me. I played Fallout. I said it in your stream the other day. That I was downloading it. Oh, they had this, like, Marks and Spencer's, like... It wasn't a good quality ramen. It was, like... It wasn't good quality ramen. It was, like, a blimmin', like, microwave thing. But my mum got it me, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll give it a try. It doesn't help that I don't think I like, spring onions, and they're kind of like a needed thing in ramen. So yeah, I had a look at a small look at Daggerheart. Yeah, honestly, I might at some point. So yeah, I had a look at Daggerheart. I watched actually. I read a bit of it, but more importantly, I had a look at like a review of it. And it was interesting to see. Yeah, spring onions. I don't like onions in general, and so it didn't help. But yeah, I watched, I think it was called like D&D Shorts or something, do a review of it. He's done like a playtest of it, and so I had a quick look at that. And then, I say a quick look, it was like a 15-minute review. So yeah, I've done a decent amount. More than I'd normally do. But yeah, tell you what, let's just start from the very, very start. Let's talk about a couple things. So I played Fallout 3, as I mentioned before, for the first time ever. Because I had this... I've talked about this before, but there's like a point in my life that I'd say from like... maybe like 12, maybe 11, to about like 18, 20, that I didn't play anything. And so all the classics that people would have played when they were young, like Skyrim, Fallout, Mass Effect. No, I punched that guy. I punched the dude who tried to take my blimmin' sweet roll. But like all of those games, I just straight up never played. And they're like blimmin' classics that everybody loves. So I've been trying to get through them, and I loved Mass Effect, and I tried Fallout 3, and for some reason, and this happens with a couple of old games, it just crashes a lot for me. And my annoyance is because I've got it on Game Pass, it's a bit limited in what kind of mods I can add. Like, normally that I imagine there'd be a mod that'd be like, this makes it run smoother on modern systems. But there isn't really one of those for Game Pass, because they don't really, it's not really done in a way where you can easily add mods. And so I've been having like a bit of a lackluster experience with the game. Not because the game's been bad. Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm sure there would be a way for me to jerry-rig the system to, like, get around the fact it's on Game Pass. And maybe there is a way of going about it, because, I mean, I can mod Minecraft. And I know that that technically takes you... It's not on the Game Pass system, it, like, launches up the Minecraft launcher when it does that, so it's a slightly different case. But... And it's a lot more, like, open about it. Yeah, exactly. Like, that's what I imagined it would be. It'd be like, it's a possibility, sure, but it's a bit of an annoyance, you know? I'm gonna make this slightly smaller so it doesn't cover everything. So, I'm having a bit of an annoyance because occasionally, like, I'll get into a combat and there'll be a decent amount of guys and I'll go into that system to, like, you know, shoot a couple of them in the head, and it will just crash because it can't seem to handle it. What's NMM? I'm not I don't know what that is. Is it like some sort of modding system? Is it like a Nexus kind of thing? Oh, it's literally Nexus. Okay, fair enough. I've never seen the initials for it. Yeah, I might try Nexus because I've have a bit of experience with Nexus because I looked into it for a bit of Skyrim stuff. I still don't know if I should go back and play Skyrim again, because it very much feels like I missed the main point of it, why people really liked it. Oh, is it called Vortex now? Okay. But like, you know, the main part of, like, you explore to a random village, you do a random village quests, and then it takes you to this other thing, and like the proper, like, open world quest sort of system that's the reason why people got into Skyrim. I never really did that. Like, I went and did the mage quests. I did the mage guild storyline. I did the... Yeah. That's sort of how I came out of I came out of the game as well. I was like, this is a super neat game, but But like, I did the mage guild, I did the companion quest, and then there was nothing really that was left that I was like, I wanted to do this, and so I just went, cool, I'll do the main quest. But I went into the main quest, and I was like, the big bad followers of Anduin that are supposed to be these incredibly powerful, like, dragon shout users, like Draugr. They had like basic iron equipment on and did like one dragon shout. Like, it was obvious I'd gone there a lot earlier than anyone else I'd ever seen go to that place. And so it wasn't really a problem, the whole thing, because I was going around in, you know, special armor and shields that I'd gotten from quests and stuff. And they were still using iron armor and using the basic shouts. And I see stuff like the videos that Spiffing Brit does, where he, you know, finds weird things you can do, and like even little things like, obviously I'm not going to break the game when I play it. I'm not going to go to the levels in which he does, where he's just insta-killing everything. But the fact that there was a way to sort of make a viable mage build by taking this spell that is technically all of the damages, so it stacks all the damage buffs that you'd get, just felt like a super neat thing to use, to not to the level that he uses it, but a cool thing to use to like play a mage build in that game. And it's I don't know, Fallout 3 is kind of been a bit lackluster for me, but I don't think it's not the game's fault. I think it's the fault of it being an old game and it not working. I had the same problem with Dragon Age Origins. I played Dragon Age Origins. Yeah, I've heard that, and that's definitely why I kind of want to go back, is because I didn't go into the modding scene. But like, and Skyrim didn't have the problem that Fallout did, where it just crashed. Dragon Age Origins, I went into it really wanting to play it, and I can't get past the tutorial without it just starting to regularly crash on me. And it's a shame, really. It's a real shame. That's the thing, I really want to give it a shot, because I've played some of the later Dragon Ages, and they're really cool. And I played whatever the last one was, and I know that one isn't incredibly well received, and yet I had a load of fun with it, and I can only imagine the one that is well received, I would have a load much more fun. Oh. No, I'm fine, thank you, but thanks for asking. I don't need chatbots or promotion. Yeah, I have heard that there's some communities that make stability patches, but I don't know. Whenever I hear that I've got to do X or Y to make the game usable, it puts me off giving it. Yeah, it's funny the naming scheme there. I'll be honest, like, the thing is with chatbots and stuff, I can get those for free. I mean, you can get a lot of stuff for free. I really don't think I need that. Anyway, with the I was kind of hoping that I'd gotten past all that stuff, because I hadn't seen one in like over a month. But yeah, I'd love to give Dragon Age Origins a proper try, but yeah, I might give Nightbot a try. I don't know. It must be something that I don't have, that they go, okay, that's somebody that hasn't got this thing that we're selling, so let's send it to them. Or maybe it's because, I mean, you did have a very quick rise in terms of your viewer count. Maybe after a certain point they just go, well, they've probably already gotten what we're offering. Yeah, but they'll put parameters, right? They won't just do everyone. Because you don't... I'm sure that there's some system where they filter out certain people. What is that? Oh, it's a smug. Oh, right. That is very cute. But yeah, I definitely want... I've tried the, yeah, it is very cute. I mean, it's insane to me when you, it's insane to me thinking about that. I've got a friend who has his own emotes. That's insane. But yeah, I tried a bit of New Vegas as well, and I don't know, this was ages ago, so I might give it another try, but I just didn't really find it fun. But I think the reasoning might have been faulty controls, because I was using a controller, and my controller I don't think was very good. I think if I played keyboard and mouse, I'd have a better time. So we'll see. I've been trying to get through some of the, you know, the old classics RPGs, but like not too old to the point where they've lost all the quality of life features. Like I don't think I could handle something like the old Baldur's Gates, right? They feel like they're so old that they don't have a lot of the quality of lives that I think I've grown to like. And I think now Fallout 3 and New Vegas are kind of getting to the point where they're like that as well. And as insane as it is to say, I think people have just gotten so used to some of the quality of life things. Yeah, I can understand that. I can seriously understand that. Because even though I'm not like a very fast-moving kind of action-y kind of person, there's been a couple of games where the way it's done, where the movement and like the gliding along stuff like has felt really seamless and interesting, has made me like get into the game that I normally would not be getting into. Do I keep this? It means that this might summon it. I think it's worth. I don't think it's worth keeping you though. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. There was a game that I played. It's gonna drive me mad. I think it's called RoboQuest, and that game's movement made me love that game. But the wall riding, the grappling hook, the fast movement, that kind of stuff, properly made me in love with that game. And it's things like that. RoboQuest is incredible. I only started getting into it because of oh yeah, 100% same. I got into it because I was watching somebody play RoboQuest just randomly, and I saw how they were playing it, and they're obviously incredible, but the game looked incredible. And the aesthetic was really good, because it had a kind of Borderlands-esque aesthetic, and I quite like the sort of the colourfulness of Borderlands that you don't really get as much, I feel. God, speaking of that, I don't know why it's come to my head. Whatever happened to the Nemesis system? You remember that? Do you remember the Nemesis system? It was in like Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor, and it felt like a really good system, and then nobody used it. Like nothing. Yeah, that like Shadow of Mordor. Like whatever. Did anything come of that? Did anyone ever go like, hey, why don't we decide to? But it feels like it's such a good system. Why didn't they use it again? Why didn't anyone use it again? Yeah, Far Cry game. There's so many games that have been a neat gimmick for. The idea of like, so it'd be interesting to see in some of the new open world style Assassin's Creed games as well. Effectively, any Ubisoft game would probably have. Yeah, it's a different game, right? I liked Odyssey and I liked Origins. I didn't like Valhalla. Yeah, it's Ubisoft games are exactly the same now, and it's just an Ubisoft game. They turned Assassin's Creed into an Ubisoft game. But yeah, like it felt like it was such an interesting system that they could have added to so many other games that would have changed the whole thing. Any game where you have repeatable people that you're fighting, repeatable seemingly generic bosses, adding the nemesis system to these seemingly generic bosses, like something like what was it called? Is it called Crackdown? Crackdown, something like Crackdown. That game could have really dealt with the nemesis system and made it its own thing. Like, I could just see a situation where it's like you dealing with whatever boss is part of this organization, and all of those Crackdown games, it's like you're beating like the hierarchy of the whatever criminal organization you're dealing with, and so you just have it where like the lower ranks get replaced over time, like they do in Shadow of War, and you just have it where it's like, yeah, these little generic bosses that would normally have no flavor to them. There was zombies? I'll be honest, I played a few of those games and then stopped. You just add like, I don't know, I think it would have been Crackdown 2 would, okay. Did they kind of go the Saints Row way, where like increasingly it got more and more weird the longer it went on, because they were just trying to find ways to keep people's attention? You know how like in Saints Row 1 they're just like a gang, and then in Saints Row like 5 they're dealing with aliens, and you're just like, well, how did this become this? Like, what was the logical progression here? Yeah, it feels like that's what they do with a lot of stuff. And then they realize after a certain point that, hold on a second. Yeah, it is. It is the constantly having to up the scales again and again and again. It's funny enough, it's one of my dislikes about yeah, it's Dragon Ball. But it's one of my dislikes about Naruto is that they made, after Naruto, they made Boruto. And Boruto, to make sure that they have, like, make it so that Boruto is still, like, the protagonist, even though Naruto's still there, they had to up the stakes. And so the way they upped the stakes was they went, yeah, he's instantly useless. All of those incredible power-ups he got in the first thing, they're useless. He just instantly gets destroyed. And I don't know, yeah. They also, that's just a problem with Naruto in general. Like, it stopped being ninjas very early on. But I'll be honest, I didn't really expect anything else when it came to that kind of stuff. As soon as I saw that there was the ability to summon lightning and shoot fireballs, and I mean, you saw very early on, you meet the Hokage at that point, the 4th Hokage, and he's fighting Orochimaru, and what he does is he summons a mud dragon, and then he has the mud dragon shoot fire, and burns Orochimaru. And at that point I was like, this is never going to be just a ninja thing. This is just going to be a wizard. It's just wizards. So in fairness, I think they did, it was very early on that they blimmin' did that. But the power scaling in that, I don't know, it got on my nerves a bit, honestly. Especially when it's like the character that I've grown up with, and I've grown to like... Naruto was the first thing I got into in terms of anime. And I don't know, maybe it's childish, but seeing that person instantly get destroyed in the next series, it rubbed me the wrong way. I feel like for sequels a lot of the time, I know it's sad, but I think for sequels, what they should do is they should always set them far enough away that none of the characters are alive, but close enough that you see the effects of what those characters have done. I think that's the way they should always do, like, sequels that don't have it. Yeah, believe me, there's so many people who would agree with you. I know you're joking, but so many people would agree with you. But I don't know. For me, I know, it's different. I'm one of those people who just likes the generic sort of protagonist that that it embodies like the ability. At the end of the day, he's the hero. He's gonna win. A lot of the time, I like the sort of generic stuff like that. And a lot of the time, I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you're very much the kind of person who's like, no, I like the kind of guy who could easily lose at any point. Yeah, I mean, I'm a shonen person, right? I like shonen. I mean, I'm a watcher of One Piece, right? Which at the end of the day is a shonen. As much, yeah, it's it's an interesting thing. I don't know. It's one of my like pet peeves with stuff like, yeah, allow it, it's fine. Sorry, it flagged that. Yeah, it's from what I've heard of, like, from you talking about your stuff, like, that's the kind of thing you like, but it's just not my kind of thing. I think recently I realized that the thing I like is groups. A group that's powerful, obviously they're going to win at the end because it's they're shonen, but I like it when it's a group of people. I hate it when it's one guy, and it's the one guy who always wins. Yeah, no, I understand, and realistically, I should like that as well. But in my heart of hearts, I know that a lot of the time I just prefer the one where they win. And I actually, a lot of the time, I think it's harder for me to start reading something where I know that they're going to struggle. But I do feel like I get a better experience out of it in the end. Oh, it's only does one of them. Okay. I don't know, it's weird. Because there's a couple times where I've... No, yeah, I agree. Like, my personal taste is the always winning shonen thing. But what I'm saying is there's a lot of times where I've tried, like, Royal Road stuff or manga where the person struggles. And I have quite liked it. But also, it's never something I'll actively go out of my way to look for. It's weird. I don't know. It's been a while since I properly got into a series. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to start a book, I'll be honest. I never have the motivation to do it. It's got to be something that really grabs me. It's I don't know. I think the last book I read would have been... What was the last book I read? What would be the last book? I guess it would have been the second book of the Egyptian thing that was made. The Egyptian Percy Jackson. I don't remember what it was called, but it was like made by the dude who made Percy Jackson, but it was set in Egypt. Well, not it's set in Egypt. It was Egyptian mythology. It's effectively Percy Jackson, but what if it was Egyptian stuff instead? Yeah, it was a weird one. I like the way that, for me at the very least, the first book of the Roman one and the first book of the Greek one felt a bit, Percy Jackson and then the Roman one the first books of both of them felt a bit similar, Whereas this one, he was completely going out of left field and making it where it's like, yeah, they have blimmin' god powers at the start, and then it moves back. In the second book, they obviously lose the god powers. So it was interesting that he was trying. They were trying something new, but I'll agree with you that I don't think I particularly liked it, because a lot of the fights, especially near the end of the first book, felt like, well, why would they ever lose? They have a god on their side. They have two gods on their side, and it's the two gods that are like, arguably like, you know, like the Zeus and the Poseidon of that mythology. Well, maybe not the Zeus and Poseidon, because probably the Zeus is Ra, but like, yeah, it was kind of like Stan users, except there wasn't weird, complicated rules to all of them. I've never watched JoJo, you know, but I don't think I'd like it. I don't think I'd like it just solely on the fact that I didn't like my hero. And the quirks and stands follow a similar thing, where both quirks and stands, they have specific rules to their powers, and you know, they sort of manipulate around those specific rules. Maybe. Isn't the first parts like they use what is it, Hamon or something, that's effectively just like chi, like monk stuff, you know, that kind of stuff, if I remember correctly? Hamon, yeah, I thought it was that. And then they sort of just ignore it after the first couple things. I guess we're going demons, maybe? Yeah, it's weird to me that starts off as just being humans versus vampires. And then, as far as I can gather, it does not end that way at all. Like it starts off with just, hey, I'm learning this special power to hunt, like, defeat vampires. Yeah, okay. So, wait, is there no other vampires in the show? Or is it just like... Oh, okay. Speaking of Hard Reset, have you caught up, or have you read Undead Unluck? Because that one's a really interesting case for a manga. It's one of those mangas that I'm like... Well, it's one of those ones that I'm like, I'm not sure I can recommend it to people, because I'm not sure if... Yeah, exactly. The first few chapters really do it badly. And in my opinion, I honestly think it takes a while to get properly good. Properly good. They join the organization, and then at that point it gets better. But I feel like there's a point in the show, and I don't know how far you are through it, but there's a point in the show, and I feel like after that point, it properly gets good. But this, I'm talking like this is late into the show. Yeah, it does get better, but I think there's a point where it's bad. Like, the first few chapters are bad, and then after that, it becomes good, but like not great. And then after a certain point, I think it gets great, in my opinion. It becomes great. But I don't know. It's a weird one, Undead Unluck. I'm sort of giving it some time to finish. Finish, you know, get a couple more chapters, 10 or maybe 10, 20 chapters ahead, and then I'm going to give it a read again. But it's got a really interesting concept to it, which I understand why they didn't continue after this big point happens. But it's an interesting concept of like, on one hand, the big bads are like they're embodiments of certain things, right? So like the embodiment, when this thing comes into existence, this thing starts to exist. So you have like insects, and then when the insect one of these things comes around, I forget its name. Yeah, new things are added to the universe, and with it, like, but everyone just assumes it's always there. They do a similar thing to Chainsaw Man, in fact. Because there's another thing in Chainsaw Man where, like, if you defeat one of the demons, that thing gets wiped out from everyone's memory and effectively just doesn't exist anymore. Like, the fear of it doesn't exist anymore. But they kind of do the reverse, where the longer it goes on, the more stuff gets added. But I don't know, there's things about it I don't really understand, like, if there's an air like one of these demons, and if you get rid of the air demon, do you just not need to breathe? Or just... Yeah, oh yeah, it's specifically when the chainsaw, okay. Feels weird for that to be on the devil that's just related to chainsaws. I'm not sure how that relates to killing something completely. I'd understand it if it was like every weapon that could do that, but bit weird. I'm assuming there's something that comes along that he's not actually the chainsaw devil, but he's more than the chainsaw devil, and he's actually like the devil, like the devil's devil or something. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like, yeah, I'm the chainsaw devil. I'm the chainsaw devil, but I'm also the devil of that all the other devils are scared of, and so I gain power from that, or something like that. I wouldn't... Based on my shonen knowledge, it probably is something like that. Yeah, it feels like that makes sense. But yeah, Undead and Unluck does it kind of in the reverse way, where they add stuff, and I loved seeing some bits, like when they add like the language demon into it, and then just everybody starts speaking the same language. They beat the language demon, and like everyone starts speaking the same language. Oh yeah, and they added galaxy, and then just a bunch of aliens appear. They have a whole thing. Yeah, they have a whole thing with that actually, where it's like, I just painted these things in the sky because the sky looked empty. And you look up and it's just like they have no stars. Because stars weren't a thing at that point. And then they add like galaxy in there, and it's like, holy damn, there's stars that exist. Like, and suddenly everyone's like, yeah, they've always existed. I love the little thing where it was like, when everyone started speaking the same language, there was a student that didn't know how to speak that language because they all happened to choose English because, I don't know, reasons. And so they found him because he was the only one that didn't speak the language that everyone spoke. Because the people that are like, I forget what they're called, but like, that have the powers aren't affected by the law changes. Which is interesting, I guess. It kind of implies that they're immune to disease if you think about it. Is it minuses? I don't remember what they were called. But like... Oh, yeah, that is Madoka Box. God, that brings back memories. That show was fun until I realised that they were starting to go to the point where... I like how this stream has just become manga review. Look, I'm not good with names. Is that the guy who uses all fiction? I'm guessing that because you've had that dude as a profile picture before. Is that all fiction guy? Yeah. I liked him. My only sort of complaint is I sort of preferred it when the whole point of that show was just people that were particularly good at stuff. Like, it was superhuman, but it wasn't magic. And he's kind of the poster child of like, oh no, this is just magic. with like it's like it's not supposed to be magic, but it's just magic. Is around the time when they start going into the like the special class or whatever it's called. I remember they're fighting like the discipline committee dude, and then you beat him and he's like, joke's on you, I couldn't get into this class, and this class is the special class. And you meet people who are like, I can just order you because some brainwave thing that I don't remember the logical conclusion of. It was like, I can control your brainwaves and order you around because I'm the king. And then there's some there that I'm like, this makes sense. Where there's just a dude who can like, he's very good at hiding hidden weapons. And like his whole shtick, he has a load of load of hidden weapons. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And there's a guy who's just like, my instincts are really good. And so like, that's my whole shtick, is that I instinctively dodge everything. And I was like, that's kind of cool. And then there's, I control your mind using brain magic. And then you meet, like, Madoka's sister, who's like, I gave myself powers? Yeah, it did go to stupid levels. But it wasn't to the level of, like, I mind control you. Or, like, I think you meet, I don't know why I remember this, but you meet, like, Madoka's sister later on. And Madoka's sister's power is that she's, for one, she's given herself this power. And two, it's like, I can control heat and coldness. Like, I can control temperature. And so I'm able to, like, raise your temperature, or raise the temperature to, like, burning stuff, and then cool the temperature to, like, freezing. And I don't even think they ever really talk about how that's possible. Like, what's the logic behind it, but she just does it. What? Oh, I didn't realize that. I never... The time I was watching Madoka Box, I wasn't into watching manga. I was into watching just anime. And so I just assumed that... I'll be honest, at that point I assumed every point of every anime was just a manga adaptation. But that makes sense, actually. It'd be impossible for them to have done that if it wasn't assumed that you were always in colour when you were reading it, which would be impossible if you were doing manga. So that makes a lot of sense now that you've mentioned that. But yeah, I don't know. I also didn't really like the logic behind the ending, where apparently just you have these powers when you're young, and then you just lose them when you hit, like, an adult. Yeah, you could. You could, I guess. Yeah, that would make it... That would be realistic. I could see people doing something like that. Where it's just like, you have a manga where canonically the whole world just doesn't have colour. And then you have a situation where there's somebody who has a power and just shows colour, and it's like this big reveal. And all of the people are surprised that there's colour that existed. I could see that being a thing. I think that would be a really cool thing, actually, the more I talk about it. It would be. It would be. Okay. This is such a stupid thing, but you saying it would be so fire made me think of this. Did you ever read Fire Punch? Blimmin' Fire Punch. I never finished reading it. But Fire Punch was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. The whole shtick of it being just like, the whole world's absolutely freezing, and then this guy can just combust himself? I really didn't understand. I didn't understand it. Which I assume means it was really good. Oh, and then he set himself on fire. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. So it's been so long since I read it. So it is like, I'm immortal. But, so I set myself on fire. Is that not his thing? Fuck, well, I've completely forgotten it. It's been like blimmin' it might have been 5 years since I read it. Oh, okay, that was the logic. Was he like being used as like a fuel source or something? God, it was an insane thing. I don't really know. It kind of, I don't know, the uncomfortable feel of that, I feel like was kind of translated. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I feel like the uncomfortable feel I felt in that was the same uncomfortable feel I occasionally felt in Chainsaw Man. Where it just, the way the person acted just felt uncomfortable. Yeah, that vaguely sounds familiar. It's been a while. The only reason it came into my mind was because you said fire. And I was like, oh yeah. Yeah, I don't think I didn't go... I didn't finish it. I don't remember where I stopped either. But that show was always very weird. And it's definitely one of those ones that I think I might at some point go back and read again. Did it finish? Or did it just sort of end? Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. The art style is very, very similar. It gives the same uncomfortable feel that I got from that. I'm guessing based on like the track record, I'm imagining it's not a good ending. It's kind of like he gets peace, but he doesn't, live a great life. Is my sort of guess. I don't recognize. I don't recognize that name, but I'm not good with names. What's it about? What's that? Gachakuta? 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 What's it about? Give me the general premise. And if you use the word isekai, you will not narrow it down at all. Because everything is a blimmin' isekai. In fact, 50% of the things I read now are isekai. Oh, is the logic behind it that, like, people treasure items and so they gain powers, but all the items are just, like, garbage trinkets that nobody, like, you should really throw away? And, like, is there, like, a floating city? Is it a floating city deal? Is there a person that uses scissors? I seem to remember a lady with scissors. Am I thinking of the right thing? And a guy that had an umbrella? Yeah, cool. Yeah, I read a bit of that. It's been a while, as you can obviously guess by the fact that I only vaguely remember them. Oh, she just also has a gun. Is it just a regular gun? Because honestly, the powers don't feel like they're that strong that a gun wouldn't do like that much. Like, a gun feels like it'd still be good in that world. It's like if you had a gun in the Dragon Ball world, it's nothing. But I think in that world, it actually does something. Yeah, I remember reading that. I don't... Against a moral code. Well, who cares about a moral code when it's your life you're fighting for? Like, if you're in a life and death situation, or morals kind of, like, go out the window. I don't feel like that's a controversial take. My life's on the line, I'll... Is that a controversial take to say that if I'm in a life or death situation, I wouldn't really care about a moral code? Ah, yes, yeah, true, true. That was a mistake. I should have... No, it's not a mistake, actually. It wouldn't have mattered. I don't know. It's an interesting idea, and I quite like the idea. I'm surprised. From what I remember, I don't remember anyone that just had, like, a sword. I feel like there'd be a load of swords that are, like, prized possessions. You like to play characters... Well, they're just absolutely messed up characters that are... What kind of character... What kind of energy you're talking about? I mean, I can tell you what kind of characters... Generally, I think. Oh. Why? No, thank you. I feel like I need to be more... Do I have to be more specific on my first time chatter message that I put you don't sell me anything and don't try and, you know, ask for any overlays. I don't... Look. I'll be honest, I don't even know how I'm supposed to even do that. I can go into my mod view. Like this. Yeah, I'm in my mod view right now. How do I hit him with a hammer? How do I ban him? I don't even think it'll matter, because this is obviously a burner account. It's called... You don't call yourself that without it being a burner account. I don't even know how you do actions in this. But yeah. Next to chat message. Okay. I've only got pin the message and reply. Oh, got it. Ban. Done. I found it, don't worry. I had to click on it and then a very, very, like, graded out, a very, very graded out blimmin', box appeared. Yeah. I got it. You do like to play people with strong moral codes. I think the problem that comes up is a lot of those characters that have strong moral codes means that they're put in a lot of situations where they have to be confronted by said moral codes, because we're not dealing with... Generally, they're like quite good people. Like, I'm not going to say they're incredibly like heroes, but they're generally on the good side. And a lot of the time we are dealing with people who are not good people. And it means there's a lot of conflict. And with our group, a lot of the time it's like, well, we just want to deal with like... We just want to deal with, do the quest. And it's like, nope, I don't want to do that. Because I've got a strong moral code. And it means that you have it means that a lot of the time your characters are very interesting. Like, I've never left the campaign going, damn, his character wasn't interesting. In fact, it means you get you get the ability to... Yeah, maybe, I don't know. I'm saying this, but I do the exact opposite. I think I go with the flow too much. I think I need to stop putting my foot down a bit more and show that I have the morals. Show that I have, like, my own, like, proper opinion in these situations, and that I believe that we should, you know, really think about the situation. I tell you what, really annoyed with myself about our last, really annoyed myself about that, really annoying myself about the blimmin' last session. I just don't feel like I played my character very well. I didn't really get into the roleplay elements, and I'm annoyed with myself. I sort of took a bit of a back seat and just didn't really do much. It's my own fault, honestly. I didn't come in with the right frame of mind. I don't know what to do in that situation, and I feel like I don't want Zach to feel like monks are overpowered, because they're not. They're generally considered to be like one of the weaker classes, and it's just Stunning Strike. It's just Stunning Strike that's powerful. I think like Stunning Strikes for a monk is powerful, and then you've got a build that you've made that's quite powerful. And I worry that he's... We would. I would... You know what's hilarious is Look, I don't want to be mean, and I'm not going to be mean, but the scaling of the damage on these people is insane. The scaling on the damage of those hobgoblins, for the numbers that there were, and the knights, and the like leader guy, and the two wizards, all of that was in. We're very swingy. We are. That's very much what we are. It shows when I was watching Brett do a boss fight, and the boss fight was this big golem and a bunch of like mages, right? And that golem, its attacks, it got 3 attacks, and the damage was around the same as the boss we dealt with. And this was a boss that they were fighting as the end of season, and there was 5 of them, and 4 of them were level 8, 1 of them was level 10. Like, it's insane. Like, the damage was comparable. And these people were 2 levels higher than us, and 1 of them was 4 levels higher than us, and there was 2 more people. And so we kind of have to go with the whole strategy of finding a route in which we're not dealing with them. Yeah, well, I mean, I've got decently high AC. You've got really high AC. I've and like, obviously we've got a warlock that's got pretty okay AC. But I don't know, I do leave a lot of battles feeling a bit iffy, because I just die so quickly. And I can't help but feel like it's because I didn't make an optimal way of making the paladin. Like, would it be different if I decided to go the whole way of if I went like the whole way of going like, what's the word? Like fully defensive, shield, heavy armor. But like, I feel like I constantly get hit and I die in like 2 turns. Like, and it never is in a situation where I can use my ability to like go after a big guy, because I die to all of his minions before it. I don't know, it's a weird situation. It's to the point where I sort of just accepted that, like, the best thing I can do in this situation is make it so that these 2 guys can deal with the boss. You know, like, buff myself to the point where these guys can deal with the boss. I don't know. It's a weird situation. I'm still having a lot of fun with the actual game. Come on. Yes! Let's go into that. Okay, yeah, that makes some sense. I'd love to know what those hobgoblins are considered. The undead knights. Well, we only fought one undead knight. Are you talking about the normal knights of the Khan, like the regular, like that heavy armored knights? Are you talking about the hobgoblins, or are you talking about like the actual undead knight that has the two axes? The normal knights. Okay, so those guys are CR3. Okay, so I mean, dealing with like a bunch of hobgoblins and one of them, that's a good fight for us at this level, right? But they're just considered elites, and I think we had to deal with that. I think that dungeon we had to deal with like I think I calculated it to be like about 15 goblins, and like 2 knights, 1 undead knight, and the 2 wizards, and then the boss, and the demon, and the other demon. Because we had to deal with the Oni and then the other demon. That's what the dungeon would have been, and there was no place where we could have short rested in that dungeon. Yeah, and to a certain extent, we are buffed. We're not normal level 6 characters. We've got 2 feats. We have I guess the magic weapon's normal, but I think for me it's not the damage on the creatures, it's the amount we're dealing with. I feel like we'd have a hard time against 15 goblins. Never mind 15 hobgoblins. You know what I mean? That to me is pretty. It's pretty scary. But on the flip side, it has meant that we've had to come up with interesting ways of getting around it. And I think I had a really cool time coming up with, you know, that point where we were strategizing and we were using the literal paint map that we did in Roll20, and we came up with our own sort of like way to solve the problem. Yeah, I was annoyed about that as well, but I was thinking about it, and the more I thought about it, the more I realized that it took so many turns for me to do it, because it took 1 turn for me to get there, then it would have taken me 1 turn to get it halfway there, and another turn to get it another halfway there, and then they could still get over it at that point, so we would have need to have set it on fire then. So in total, it would have taken about 4 turns. Look, if we had done that dungeon, we would have lost. We would have lost at the gate. I'm not even kidding, we would have lost at the gate. We would have gotten to the gate, and there would have been 2 people shooting us, 5 people on the side that were coming to attack us, 5 people inside that we had to deal with, plus an undead knight, plus a regular knight. Like, we had no chance. We would have had actually, funny enough, if we had had that group of soldiers with us, I think we would have had a chance to beat that just straight. But, I don't know, the adversity made us come up with an interesting idea that I quite liked. And it's a shame we didn't get to pull off the whole pushing the battering ram. But I had a lot of fun. Yeah, getting a magic gun. I mean, if we come across any of that kind of stuff, we definitely will get you one of those. I think I need to get myself some form of defensive item. Whether it's an upgrade to my armor, whether it's like a ring of protection or something. I need something. I need something to make sure that I survive longer, because I'm just dying so quickly. And that's with me having like effectively an action full heal. Near enough full heal. That was funny. That was very funny. I loved that that was a thing. I love that the fact that his class made it so magic casters kind of needed to be there for him to work, and then him to come across that. Such a cool bit. I love that bit. That's the thing, it's like, as much as it sounds like I'm doing a lot of complaining, I had a great time with the session. I didn't have a problem with the session. It's just these are definite things that are, you know, they're my opinions on the situation. I've said this before to you, but I wasn't lying. There hasn't been a situation where I've actively not had fun in D&D or any sort of TTRPG, because I would have just I'd straight up tell whoever's DMing at that point. Yeah, your character is badass. I do, if I'm being completely honest with you, I kind of wish he had a bit more of a personality. Just because, you know, there's 3 of us, and in terms of personality-wise, like, he's becoming more of a thing now with all his badass lines and stuff. But there's like, it's like kind of one less person to bounce stuff off of. You know what I mean? But the character is incredibly cool. Like, the character is very, very cool. And the whole gun monk idea is something that I've wished to do before. And so to see it in action and to see it working and thriving is just such a fun thing to see. Such a fun thing to see. And to see like a warlock that seems to actually be like very useful in combat is also just a great thing to see as well. Because I mean, I've seen like very limited amounts of warlock. It's like, yeah, sure, technically I played one, but not really. I mean, I think the problem is, and I guess this is a problem with like not discussing it, is like I've kind of tried to go with the straight man idea as well, and I don't think mine's working very well. Yeah, Hexblade, which I don't even really... I kind of count that as a warrior subclass at this point. Because it feels like very much like you're just a better Eldritch Knight. I don't know, it's... There's definitely things that I felt bad about myself last session, and I need to improve on. I'm also a bit interested to see how the journey will actually go. Because I'll be honest, I kind of assumed that we were getting to that port town, and then we were getting off this country. Like, I assumed we were getting ship. Well, the thing is, I don't think that... With the character you're playing, you're supposed to be the straight man. So I don't know how to help in that situation. Yeah, I know, we're on a foot slog ahead of us. I didn't realise that until it was, you know, straight up brought up. So I was like really confused. I was like, I don't know, maybe there can be a situation where you realize your character, even though like you're not perfect, you're in a situation where you not making a decision actively hurts us, and so you decide to maybe have a bit more of a, I don't know what the word is, like bit more of like a say in what you do, to like in the minor context. I don't know. I'm in a situation like I wouldn't. The kind of character you're making right now is a kind of character I wouldn't ever dare trying, because I don't think I could ever pull it off. So I've got no idea how you'd play it, because I wouldn't even think to play it, because I just don't think I'd be able to pull it off. So I'm sorry, but I've got. Yeah, I put that on ages ago. I kind of just keep that on, if I'm being honest. If you're playing this game and you've never got a confirmed first, I'm counting it as not being good. Says the person who calls himself like the king of losers on his stream. You can't say anything about this. You call yourself like the king of losers for a while now. Mine's accurate. I've never gotten a win. I'm in like low elo, the equivalent of low elo, and I don't have a win. I'm too set on one character. Like, I find a minion type and I'm like, I'm going this minion type, even if this minion type isn't good. Well, that's nice. A solo ace. You're properly getting your foot into the game now. You're properly, finding your way in the game. Look, bug decks. Look, bug decks are good if you don't choose the literal worst bug, which that blimmin' Weevil Underwood did. He chose the worst bug. If you'd chosen any other, like, proper, like, good bugs, he wouldn't have had that bad of a time. Who plays a blimmin' Yu-Gi-Oh card that's got, like, 2,300 attack points, and you have to sacrifice it? And you have to sacrifice sacrifice another monster to make it attack. Look, I rate him for using a bug deck. I don't rate him for using the worst, like, ace monster out of all of them. It doesn't even... Blue Eyes White Dragon, that you don't have to jump through as many hoops to get, has more attack points than it, and it doesn't sacrifice something at every time it attacks. I'm not even when you're not talking about modern stuff, if you're talking about like that stage Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, it would have an additional thing that was like, ooh, yeah, there's only 3 in the world because everyone else had binned them or burned them. I used them as like beer mats because they're useless. Oh, you're talking about blimmin', oh, Blue Eyes. Yeah, well, that means nothing when you literally have a card making facility. There's only 3 of them because blimmin' Pegasus didn't make more of them. Look, also in canon they could have made more. Wait, what? I get 2 of these? Oh, that's annoying. I could have had a Noyotron. Oh, I like a Noyotron. Look, all I'm saying is Yu-Gi-Oh! Best series was GX series. All the GX was really good, and base Yu-Gi-Oh! Was okay, but it wasn't as good as GX. That's all I'm saying. GX was the best. You gotta get your game on, as they say. Yeah, literally. Like, he could have. That's effectively what Kaiba did when he eventually took over the whole thing. Like, GX was my... I know I'm biased because it was around my age when that... Like, that's when I was watching. But, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was okay. Yeah, that was insane. Like, that was the later stuff. I don't hate it, but that was insane. But then, like, after the fact, it goes even more insane. It's like, we'll try and one-up you. And then you get to Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D, where it's like, it's the post-apocalyptic time, but also Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards and racing, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards is a big thing, and, like... Also, there's these dragons, but they're special dragons. And it gets really, really weird, and I'm like, what the heck is happening? Yeah, card games on motorcycles. Except the card games on motorcycles is in a post-apocalyptic situation. And each of them have special dragons. And... I don't really understand what the whole point of it is. And then, like, after the fact, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D is okay. Zexal is like, there's like cards that are numbered, I think. They do the whole spirit thing again with like Yugi, but it's not like they embody them, they're there as like the Navi of him. It's very weird. I watched it until... I think I watched Yu-Gi-Oh! until like the first couple seasons of... I think the first couple seasons of like of 5D, I was like, I looked at that one a bit, and then after that I sort of stopped. Ojamas were great. I love the Ojamas. I love them because they were just absolutely stupid. They were the Jesse and James of that world. They were the proper like comedy characters. And then you had like Chad. I think he was called Chad. Chad Underwood? Like, or was it Chaz? It's Chaz. Chaz, wasn't it? Because he would always say Chaz it up. The Chaz. And then weirdly there was the whole storyline where there was... This guy came in and he turned the blue house into the white house and brainwashed everybody. And he was considered a student even though he looked like a blimmin' adult. And he looked incredibly creepy, and it didn't feel like it should be in a blimmin' a children's show. It felt very weird. And it happened to be that he was also using the like creepiest cards ever. It was so weird. Like, that show really went weird, especially in the later seasons where they knew they could sort of get away with it. No, that's not what I want. Next one. Nope, still not what I wanted. I'm gonna take this. We're gonna re-roll. That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted. Yeah, God, I blimmin' loved Yu-Gi-Oh! I used to play a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! On like a DS game back in the day. It was very fun. What's Dungeon Dice Monsters? Is that another cartoon that I didn't know? Or is that a monster in Yu-Gi-Oh? I've completely forgotten that. You're gonna have to remind me. My brain is like a sieve. It doesn't retain anything. Oh, is it a core? Is it at an episode that was like that? I don't remember that one. In OG? Oh, okay. Was it just like all around somebody who used a card that was all about randomness? Or was it just like, I use wonder dice and stuff? Reroll this. Ooh. Oh, they play just an entirely different game. Oh. That's a bit weird, I'll be honest. God, I was talking about this the other day, and it's off topic, but I was talking. I think I might have over-leveled in Rogue Trader, which I didn't think was possible, because I'm instantly beating everything. Like, I say no, instantly beating is taking it too far. I beat everything with almost no problem. I don't understand. I feel like maybe it doesn't expect you to do a lot of the side quest stuff. But like it feels like such a like shift from the Pathfinder game. Because the Pathfinder game is not easy. At all. And this game feels like it is. Feels like it really is. Don't get me wrong, I think I've done a lot of the side quest stuff, but still. Like, is it just so heavily favored in the player's way? Because I'm not doing it accurate. I'm not accurately. I don't feel like I've got an incredible build. A lot of the stuff I feel like I've taken that I just don't use or shouldn't have taken on a certain person. Like, I was dealing with the boss of like one of the acts, right? And it's this like, and it's supposed to be this Majos sensor that's supposed to be the head of the industrial like world, right? And I dealt with it without, like, Ablard was sitting in front of it and its two like hell fiend friends and wasn't taking damage. He just sat there and with all his buffs on and just didn't take any damage. And I was just like, well, what's happening here? Like, sure, I'm putting all of the defensive buffs on him, but surely I should be taking 1 damage from like this dude. I sat there with Ablard sitting there taking everything, and just killed his buddies instantly, till it was just him there, and then I just killed him. While he was locked in combat every turn with my taunting Ablard. And I haven't done all the side quests. There's still areas of that on that space sheet that I just can't seem to get to. I haven't done Argentum's one because I can't find the planet with a saint on. I don't know if I'm supposed to. I think I've done the Eldar's one, but that was just me finding a load of dead Eldar in random ships and effectively coming to the conclusion that, yeah, they've all been screwed. They're all dead. And some of them were so prideful that they wouldn't take my help, even though it would have saved their life, because they didn't trust us. And I've done a couple of like I've explored. They gave me an achievement that said I explored like 50% of the planets, which is insane to me because I'm only on Act 2. What is it, like Act 2? Maybe Act 3? So I don't know. I don't feel like I should be incredibly powerful. haven't done anything that warrants being so powerful. But I just... Right, in this fight, right, what I didn't tell you about this Major Sensor fight is, I messed up in this area and actively went through this trap, this steam trap, this long haul of steam traps, like multiple times, to the point where like 3 of my people had like wounds on them. Pascal had a broken leg, Argenta had a broken leg, I think Cassia maybe had like a rib cage, broken rib cage, and then I got poisoned because I was trying to take this information that was Theodore von Valencia had left in this random thing. So they poisoned me, so my weapon and ballistic skill was also lowered by -10 on everyone. And even with that, I killed the Space Marine that was there. It wasn't even a problem. And then I beat the Major Sensor with like 2, I don't know what they were, like Hell Fiends with him. Wasn't even a problem at all. That feels wrong. I didn't even... There was a mechanic with the Major Sensor that was like, every time you hit him, he gains 1 armor. And I just went, I don't care, and shot him over and over and over again. Like, it wasn't a problem. And I definitely didn't think that this was the takeaway I was going to take from this game. Because I'm sure you remember me mentioning this, but I was like, I don't know if I'm going to hit a point in this game where I'm just not having fun because I can't progress. Like, I actively thought that I would never, like, make it far in this game. But no, it's insane to me how powerful I am. I will say one of the things the game does very well is it makes you feel like I see like a load of troops. Nah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. At the end of the day, normally this is just a stream of consciousness. So even if you like, it's weird for there to be somebody in the chat anyway. So I take it as a bonus, right? But I don't know. The game does a very good job. Rogue Trader does a very good job of making it so that you feel like you're powerful because you deal with like 20 enemies and they're all like basic rebels and you decimate them easily. And so you definitely feel powerful. But I worry it's taking it a bit too far with these characters. Because... Yeah. All the blimmin' like basic enemies, just you mow them down. The hardest fight I've dealt with has been you're leaving this place in Act 1 and you deal with 1 Space Marine, a bunch of rebels, and this guy with a sniper rifle. And that guy with a sniper rifle was my hardest opponent. I'm hoping it changes up once I'm dealing with a lot more, like... Yeah, Aurora, that person with a sniper rifle that was there with Aurora. Aurora? Useless. Absolutely useless. That dude with a sniper rifle, I'm still using his sniper rifle because it's that good. He's so annoying. I'm just hoping that as soon as I'm fighting things that aren't chaos, because I don't think I've fought a single thing that hasn't been chaos or just like a random beast that I don't really count as being like fighting it's not a different faction. The only faction I've fought has been chaos. And I don't know, I saw in the pictures that there was like Necrons you can fight, and I know that you deal with Dark Eldar. I guess I fought Craftworld Eldar, but I didn't even fight Craftworld. No, I fought like 2 Craftworld Eldar, but they were like nothing. the demons, like, they're pathetic, frankly. I had a situation. Oh, okay. I didn't realize you had one for your phone and one for you. There was a situation where I broke a computer and a bunch of demons came out of it, and they couldn't spawn fast enough because I was killing them. Like, it was supposed to be that, like, oh, we spawn a Screecher and, like, two purple horrors, pink horrors. And, like, the next turn we summon a Herald and, like, a more pink horrors. I'd kill them all before the next turn came. It was insane. It's quite similar in the space battles as well. I quite like the space battles, but the problem I've got with them is that I dominate them. I haven't really upgraded my gear. I've upgraded, like, the armor I changed from having 6 armor on the whole of my ship to having, like, a load on the side and the front and not that much on the back. But other than that, I haven't really changed up my ship's like armor or weapons too much. I was dealing with a, like, it was supposed to be one of these ones where you're supposed to kill all the enemies within a time limit. And I was dealing with a bunch of Dark Eldar ships, and I just dominated them. Like, sure, I say dominated, I'd say it was like 40, maybe 30% health at the end of it, but I killed like 7 ships. Like, back to back, they'd shoot me with everything they got, and I just kill them. Like 7 ships in the game. And I don't know, it feels like they should up the difficulty a bit. But then, on the flip side, I understand that I know that if I was in a different situation, I'd definitely be complaining about the difficulty being too hard in some situations, right? But I'm kind of worried that what's going to happen is similar to what happened in Pathfinder, where before what I do is I just dogpile anyone, right? In Pathfinder, I dogpile everyone with all my guys and all my summons, and I destroy them. And then I hit a point where it's quite obvious that the game was expecting me to have, like, stacked buffs and, like, be ready to deal with this kind of opponent that has these special resistances. And when I dealt with that, I just couldn't do any damage to them. It was just a situation where I was like, cool, I don't do anything to you. Yeah. I don't like that. I think it works. And I think it works a lot better when you're actually playing a TTRPG. Because I can go to you and go, hey, I'll put all the buffs on I put on before. I cast this, this, and this. And it's not you going, okay, I click on you, I cast this. I click on you, I cast this on this person. Click on you, I cast this buff on this person. It's insane. Yeah, like, at least you make a macro and it's like, I cast all of these on this. These are all my free spells that I'm casting. I don't know, that game, when I realized that that's what you're supposed to do, that game put me off of it. Put me off of it immediately. Which is a real shame, because I think that second act where you're building your army and you're destroying the demon forces, like, that game was that part of the game was very fun. Like a proper, like, old school Might and Magic style gameplay, and then you go, like, you zoom in on, like, your story elements. And all those decisions that would get you access to certain kinds of, like, troops. I think was just a really cool idea, and No, okay. It's just a real shame that that wasn't really the whole game. and there was this whole actual Pathfinder situation added to it. It's one of the kind of reasons why I'm a bit hesitant to play Pathfinder. Is whenever I know that it's different when you're playing it in person, but whenever I think of playing Pathfinder, I think back to playing the Pathfinder game, and I know we'd probably be playing 2nd edition, and I know that it's different. I know it's different, but I don't know. It puts me off. It puts me off playing the game when that sort of stuff happens. But I don't know, maybe I should give Pathfinder a try. It's kind of weird because when I look at TTRPGs and I look at what I want from them, I think I've realized that what people say they want from TTRPGs is not what I want from TTRPGs. Like, I want there to be lots of options, but I don't want that to be the sacrifice from that being that you sort of just have to reflavor a lot of things, and you also have to be in a situation where what's the right word to say? In a situation where a lot of stuff is, there aren't rules for it, you sort of just gotta what's the word? In Daggerheart, for example, there is a situation in that where your skills, quote unquote, it's different, but it's effectively skills in that game, are also like things that you choose and go, this is what my character would be good at. And so whenever the DM's like, I think this would be appropriate, you can use that skill and you get a bonus to your roll to do that. So I could go like, my skill is hot shot, and so whenever I'm in a situation where my character, like being a reckless like character, would be in my would be something I'm doing as a role, I can add my bonus to that for being a hot shot, right? I don't think I like that. I think what I want from my games is I want games in which I have like, no, this is what this does, this is what this does, and what am I doing here? Putting that there. This is what A does, this is what B does. These are the situations where it would come up. And then now that there's proper established like solid rules, only then do I like start to branch out to sort of like what's the word? Sort of like come up with creative ways. What I'm trying to say is I don't think I'm creative enough that I want TTRPG systems that give me that much freedom. I want ones that have solid, like, obvious rules to it, and then the freedom comes from me talking with the group and coming up with ideas. So when we have situations like in Daggerheart where like you make up your own skills and you can come up with like special ones that are like, okay, I'm a natural tracker, and so whenever I'm in a situation where it would make sense for a natural tracker to get a bonus, I get a bonus. I think I want more solid rules. And it's weird to say, and maybe it's something to do with just my mind and like my preferences in this sort of situation, but when I was watching a review of Daggerheart, and it said that bit about like skills and making sure that you sort of choose whatever you want in that situation, that made me not actually want to continue not actually want to do it. You know, it's a weird situation, but I don't know. I like Lancer as a game. I like Lancer's sort of shtick, and I like the battling behind it. But I think, in general, in those situations where I have to choose, I sort of just default to using stuff that I steal from other games. I'm not very creative, so I steal from the games that we've already played. And so, I guess it's not... I'm more, like, apprehensive of using them. Off the top of my head, I don't remember what the Lancer sort of skill trigger things are. Is it very similar to Daggerheart, where you sort of choose what you believe, you write down what you think your character would have? And then whenever that would come up... Yeah, I think... Look, they're fine in a game. I just think I get a bit apprehensive when I see it. Like, it's not going to put me off them immediately, but I don't think of myself as being very creative. Yeah, that's very similar. I don't think of myself as being particularly creative, and so when I'm in a situation like that, I get worried and scared because I'm not sure when... I like to have a list to go off, because then I don't know, it feels like there's... I don't know. Yeah, I like the Lancer combat system. I don't have a problem with the Lancer combat system. I do think I chose the wrong mech, and I don't think the style in which I did Lancer was correct. Yeah, I guess I've not really done non-mech combat before, so it's never really come up. But I don't know. It's... When I'm in situations where, like, say I'm casting a spell, right? Because... Yeah, no, I want to give Lancer another try. I have no problems with the Lancer I played. The thing is, when I'm casting a spell, I want there to be... the spell does this, the area is this, it does this damage, right? Whereas a lot of the time it's like, okay, what kind of spell do you want to do? Okay, let's make sure... Describe the spell and we'll find a way... We'll come to a conclusion about like what kind of damage it is and what kind of shape it is. In some games, right? And that's not for me. I like there to be solid rules, and like... The wiggle room comes from us talking, right? That kind of stuff. And that's not for everybody. And I know that there's... For example, Tom from the Yogscast, I know for a fact is very, very rules light in his games. He's very much a kind of person who's like, I want there to be as... Like, this is just there as a guideline. I want it to be... The setting's my shtick, and if whatever my group wants to do, I'll let them do it, right? And... I don't know. I'm not very good at articulating these kinds of stuff. But... honestly, when I listened to the review of Daggerheart, I was like, okay, this is interesting, this is interesting. The cards seemed interesting as like a simple guide of what you're supposed to do. The level up system seemed like an interesting, different thing from D&D. But then when the skill thing came up, I got nervous about it. I mean, and you can kind of see it in what kind of characters I play in D&D. I always play somebody that's got very sort of strict things that they abide by, right? I don't want any of these, but I do want that. So it's like I'll play a cleric, and I'll be like, okay, well, my cleric follows the laws of being a cleric, and that's his personality. I make a paladin, and he follows the laws the oath that he gave to himself, and that's the strict rules that he follows. It's I make those kind of characters a lot. You go to my very first character, again, another religious character that has a set amount of rules that he follows. It's, you know, it's that kind of thing. Because if I don't make a character like that, I just make me. Like, that's just what happens. You have that with Lillian, you have that with like Brutus, for example, where they just make what I would do in if I was playing this in a game. So obviously the real me wouldn't go around killing people. The real me is an absolute coward and would not even go into a fight. But the me in games would charge into fights and not really care about that kind of stuff, and like play it kind of laissez-faire, like very much like, oh, I like this character, so I'll help them, but I'll have a double standard because I won't help this character even though they have better, like, are more morally in the right here, just because I just don't like the character. And so I like having those set rules when I'm making a character, and I think that reflects in what kind of rules I like for a TTRPG system in general. But I don't know. This is all just ramblings of me trying to sort of figure out or put into words sort of just what I felt. At the end of the day, what I said before about I heard about that and it made me nervous is the only real thing that is 100% true, right? That isn't just me sort of saying everything that comes out of my mouth about this kind of thing. But yeah, this Lancer system was definitely fun. I definitely feel like the character I decided to try and play, the very tanky, very big character that uses melee, felt like I understood what you're supposed to do, but it's not how I want to play. And so definitely if I played it again, I would try and play definitely a ranged combatant, because I very much felt like I couldn't get into combat. So definitely a ranged combatant, and then maybe a smaller mech, maybe a lighter mech. I've also sort of got to get into my mind that if I hit 0, it's not a huge deal because, like, I have effectively a bunch more health. It's just, it's not what I think of when I think of, like, health. It's a different kind of system in that aspect. You. Couple of things I just need to go into Lancer and remember that that's part of it. Ooh. But overall, the system, absolutely love the system. I've got no complaints about the system. I think it's one of those situations like, you do a build and then you realise, okay, this build isn't for me. I tried something new, it's not for me, right? So I don't think I'd play that big, chunky, hammer-wielding dude. I think it was called Mothus, if I remember correctly. Because I didn't just want to call it Minotaur, because there was already a... Or did I call it Minotaur? I don't remember. Definitely the influence was a Minotaur. But yeah, I'd love to play Lancer again, I just don't think I would have played that build. I definitely play ranged. And if, maybe I'd go chunky again and just be like a heavy weapon platform, but I think it would also be more likely that I'd, let's take this one, as much as it pains me. Do I need this one? I might need that. I don't think it's worth freezing for, though. I don't think that it's worth freezing for at all. But yeah, and I mean, I know I'm obviously of our group, I'm the most, I guess, stubborn when it comes to, like, really, like, continuing to play D&D. But I do actually want to try other stuff. It's just whenever there's any major changes, it always, like, shocks me. But I'll give I mean, I'll give anything a shot. I'll give anything a shot once. And I have been, like, talking constantly about, like, wanting to try, like, a sci-fi system that isn't Dark Heresy and, like, isn't maybe mechs, but just, like, space travel and space adventure would be really cool to do. Like a Star Trek, Star Wars kind of style thing. I'd love to try to do that at some point. But effectively what I'm saying is I'd love to do effectively space pirates or like space adventurers, which isn't too much different to doing it in fantasy, except I don't know. There's different things you can do with sci-fi, right? You can use guns. But yeah, I definitely want to give that a shot at some point. Try doing like finding a system for that. I'm not really sure what kind of system would work for it, because surprisingly, a lot of systems that you'd expect to be, a lot of systems you'd be like, oh, this is a good idea, and then you're like, a lot of them are like horror systems. Surprisingly, there's surprisingly a lot of systems in for sci-fi that are horror based, and I don't know why. I really don't know why, but there is. And they have their own place in the world. It seems like a lot of people like the sort of like alien style game, but not what I wanted. Yeah, horror sci-fi just have a strong group to it. I do wonder why all of these. I do wonder why all of these chatters are coming back that are saying they're trying to advertise stuff. Because, like, I haven't had them for a month. And I've definitely had you. Yeah, I think that is fair. I think that is a fair thing to say. I definitely want some complexity to it. Like, I want there to be a situation where I can choose, like... Yeah, it's weird, like... I'd look at Starfinder, right? And obviously I don't want to do Starfinder because it's Pathfinder but in sci-fi. And I'm not really that fussed about doing actual Pathfinder. But, like, the sort of idea that you got behind that, where there's so many different races, you can sort of do whatever you want. You want to use a gun, that's fine. You want to use a melee weapon, you want to use a blooming lightsaber, that's fine. You want to use psychic powers, that's fine, right? I want that stuff, but then I also want it to feel like... I don't want it to be that situation you get with, like, GURPS and stuff, right? Where it's... In GURPS, it's like, you can do everything, but also nothing really feels special because it's just taking what you want to do and putting taking a generic stat block and adding that to it. It's like, I don't know, there has to be a good, like, I don't know, like, middle ground, right? But there really isn't a lot. Like, I had a look at Stars Without Numbers, and that one was, I don't know, not really my thing. And yeah, they are sometimes unbelievably complex for absolutely no reason. Like, it'll be like your ship on ship combat, and it'll be like, okay, so you have this, you got to make sure that you maintain the shields, and you got to maintain the fuel gauge and the coolant system, and the charge on each of these weapons, and it's like you're going into it, and it feels like you're playing one of those like flight simulator games, but like where you have to actually control all the little dials and stuff. I don't know. It's weird. It's a very weird system. But I'd love to do more sci-fi stuff. But also, I don't know. It's one of those situations where it's like, I know I should look out for more stuff, but also I've already found a thing I like, and it's like, oh, it's a bit of an effort to go out and look for other stuff, and I have this that I like, and this is already good for me. I don't know. It's weird. I am interested to see, maybe do a tester of whenever the new D&D comes out. I'd be interested to see how interesting that is, and if it's worth maybe giving that a shot, and maybe that changes it up enough to make it worth like giving another shot to. I don't know, it's weird. It doesn't help that like D&D, which is my like favorite system, also has the worst people. Yeah, love to play Shadowrun. I love the setting. Love the setting. Absolutely annoyed by the blooming the system itself. And I don't look. It wasn't ever going to be the easiest thing to add a Shadowrun system, right? Because you got all the different things you got to do. You got rigging. You've got like the whole of the world that you, when you jack into the stuff, is its whole thing. You got magic. You got chi. Like, people forget that you can be a monk in that game. Then you've got all the weapons, all the guns. There's a lot of stuff you have to add, but God, is that system so dense. You're in this situation where it's like, you've got some person in your game that's just effectively playing a completely different system. Because like, if you've got somebody who's all about jacking into computers, they've got a whole other game they're playing. And it's the same for if you've got someone playing magic, you've got somebody playing chi, you've got somebody playing, so they're called adepts, aren't they? But it's insane the differences. It's a real shame, because the whole idea behind Shadowrun and the whole, like, in itself, it sets a scene for you, right? It's like, oh, how am I going to sort of start off how am I going to get them all these adventures? Well, they're a shadow, they do shadow running, right? They are a shadow runner, I guess. So it's pretty obvious what you've got to do. They're people that don't have a sim. They're people who do all of these shady missions, because, I mean, half the reason is that it doesn't matter if you get caught. It doesn't matter if you get caught because you don't have a sin and they're never going to track it. Nobody really cares about these people. But in addition, you've got, like, at the end of the day, they sort of sold their, I don't know what you'd call it, like, sold their sort of soul by joining How many spells do we have to cast? Oh god, another 4. Nope, basic math 6. They have nowhere to go, and so you can use them for all these missions. Such a cool idea. And then you got these dragons that awakened in the modern era and just went, how do I become the dragon that I always want to be, where I'm literally sleeping on like piles of gold? I know how I'll do that. I'll just become a business. And then obviously, because elves exist and they live so much longer, you've got all of those as being CEOs, like under the dragons, because they live so long that they get promoted, and then, well, they're not going to lose their position, and then everybody above them just eventually dies, and they get promoted again, and it's like, it's such a cool, you've got such a cool system. You've got like people who are like trying to act as if they're elves, and they're like, they do modifications to themselves so that they can act as if they're an elf, but like, it just seems to most people, it just seems like pathetic. You've got the fact that like countries don't exist at this point, and like all of the policemen are just private security, and so like everybody you're dealing with is literally on the payroll of big business, to the point where they are effectively the countries of that world. Shadowrun is just such a cool system. Such a cool setting, sorry, and the system's not that great. It's just a real shame that the system they made is just not good. And I think they made another one like semi-recently, and that one wasn't great either. Like, they didn't really solve... I'm not sure if they particularly solved the problem that people had with them, because I don't think they really... I could be wrong here, but I don't think they really like... what's the word? They didn't really like simplify a lot of the little systems. Instead, what they did for Shadowrun is they just made the systems different. So you still had complexity when it came to using magic, when you're like rigging into stuff. But I can't help but think to the Shadowrun games that I played, and they're so fun. Such good games. And so when I think about them, it does definitely make me think, God, I wish I could play this, but with a lot more freedom from it being a TTRPG. There is that system that you found, if that's what you're gonna say. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely would want to give that world a try at some point. And so that's definitely on the table. I definitely give that a shot. Obviously, I need to give it a bit more of a look at the rules. Yeah, obviously, I'd have to look at it again, but I definitely would be up for doing a Shadowrun thing at some point. It's a lot more my style than Cyberpunk. Although I would have, if we had actually continued with the Cyberpunk thing, I'd have definitely given Cyberpunk a try. But it's Shadowrun is a lot more my style. Do you remember that when one of our friends was going to do a Cyberpunk game? Just never really went anywhere. I think we were like cousins in that game, actually. I seem to remember something like that. Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to assume that we're going to be combat focused. That's why I'm a bit hesitant to ever play like Vampire the Masquerade, because that game's not really about combat, and like it's not really about combat, but I worry that, yeah, I don't know. I'm always a bit hesitant. I think people would, from what I can gather, I think our friends would be more into something like, you know, like werewolf, or honestly, with how both of us have almost all of our group, I don't know about one of them, but almost all of our group has watched Hunter the Reckoning, you know, the TT Emperor the Text speech device thing. Maybe honestly they'd be more into playing Hunter, the Hunter's one, instead of Vampire. Yeah, honestly, at some point, yeah. I wouldn't mind giving that a try. I think more, it's not really the rules that are the big problem. I think it's more just I don't know if I can get into the mindset of I've just become a vampire, or like, you know, that kind of stuff. The idea of like I've just become a vampire, and like how do I deal with this new world? It's something that I think it's heavy. It's heavy like role playing that I would need to. I don't know. It would be a big uptaking for me, because I don't think I'm particularly good at role playing at the moment, and so it would be a huge sort of like shift from D&D, which is like 50% role play, 50% combat in what we normally do. Maybe a bit more of a lean to combat. To like Vampire the Masquerade, which is like 90% role play and maybe 10% combat, maybe even less. The combat is not really necessary in vampires. I think it's like borderline not even a thing. Yeah, it's basically nothing. There's like, I think there's like maybe two bloodlines that actually specialize into stuff that's like specifically combat, right? Yeah, I don't know. The thing is that my only reference when it comes to... Oh yeah, fair enough. I mean, all my references for Vampire the Masquerade is watching somebody play the game, in which you are pretty killy in the game, and watching a couple of episodes of somebody doing a Vampire the Masquerade TTRPG, in which they were a new vampire. So my only experience of the game has been, of the system, has been people that have suddenly become new vampires, and them dealing with the situation. In the game, it's mostly killing, really, but in the couple episodes I watched of the actual system, it was like what do we do now, like that kind of stuff. Like it's like a fish out of water. Like what do we do in the situation? How do we adapt to our new environment? And so it's, I don't know, it's a system I definitely want to give a try at some point, but it's also like one of the ones I'm the most nervous about, because it gets rid of my crutch. Because my crutch was always, well, no matter how bad at roleplay I am, at the very least I'm helping the group by being decent in combat, right? Like, oh no, I'm not very good at this. I'm not very good at X, but at least I've got this. Yeah, no, I definitely think it would be interesting. It definitely would be interesting. I think it's something we definitely would be cool to do. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. It's a situation where I definitely want to give it a try because I like to force myself to try stuff um within reason, to try stuff that I wouldn't normally do. Um but still a bit nervous about it. We'll have to see. We'll have a talks about it. I also wouldn't mind doing Dark Heresy again. I think Dark Heresy always seems to peter out because of something happening in the somebody sort of messing up the whole thing. I think if we went into it with the group we have right now, I think maybe the group could handle the whole situation a bit better. The problem is that we have a pretty small group right now, which does limit like the encounters you can put them up against, but I think Dark Heresy done with a group where like everybody's taking it seriously would be a really interesting thing to do. Or maybe something like Death Watch or something would be interesting. I don't know. I kind of want to keep it more to the human level, but I also wouldn't mind being able to play like mercenaries. You know, like playing like a recruit or something. Yeah, I prefer it over being a space marine, but also I wouldn't mind being like a recruit or something, or like an ogrin, or like a ratling. Yeah, I mean, I've said it before. The only space marines I like pardon me. The only space marines I like are the salamanders, and that's it. I like the lamenters as well. The lamenters are good as well, but the salamanders are great. Hey, the salamanders are the lamenters, but they actually succeed instead of just losing constantly. What do you mean exactly? They still lose a load of their forces, but they just succeed as well. See, that's the difference between you and I. I want them to succeed occasionally. Like, the salamanders still battle cry. None of these do battle cry. The salamanders still have extreme losses from what they do, but they also succeed. So it's other than them, I like being humans. I'd love to do Dark Heresy again. I'd love to. Nah, the Ultramarines never. The Ultramarines it never happens to them. Well, at least it never seems to. The thing is with the Salamanders is it did have an effect in the sense that they had like no freaking successor chapters. The Salamanders had so much losses that they didn't split up when the book happened and everyone just had to split up because there wasn't enough of them. It's only recent history where there's been some Salamander successor chapters because there wasn't enough of them. So it's like there was some effect by it. Either way, I don't particularly like Space Marines. So I'm not going to be overly defending them in this situation, if I'm being honest. They are very much like... Yeah, well... Yeah. I don't know what to say there, mate. I said it before, I'm not going to 100%... defend them because it's the Space Marines and I don't particularly like them. I mean, the Lamenters are back. The Lamenters are also just back and they have Primaris stuff now. They were just brought back by Gulliman. Yeah, I knew you wouldn't like it. I knew you wouldn't like it. It's just like, yeah, have all these Primaris. I know that there's none of you left. They probably are. Let's be honest. They probably are. I mean, they still got the same gene seed, right? And the gene seed inherently is cursed. So it'd be weird if they just weren't cursed. Besides, that's like kind of their only defining quality. Wait, really? So they just don't have the gene seed defect? Is that just a thing that they don't have? I mean, I don't know anything about Salamanders, Primaris. Like, I only know, like, the bare minimums of this stuff. I didn't realise that they just... most of the Blimmin' Primaris are just immune to the thing that makes each of the Blimmin' chapters unique. So do they not have the thirst? Do they not have the red thirst then? Oh, okay. What, with the Primaris or with the Lamenters? Because the Lamenters definitely have a very low chance of the thirst. Because they thought they'd gotten rid of it before. Oh, I see. Yeah, that's stupid. I hate that. Yeah, that's just a mistake in my opinion. It's like, hey, you know this thing that makes them unique? Just get rid of it. Who cares about it? But yeah, I mean, some of my... Yeah, that's annoying. Some of my, like, favourite memories are from Dark Heresy, and so I always have a soft spot for it. Although I say that, but I think I've realised that all of my fond memories from every, like... A lot of my fond memories for TTRPGs are just me and one other person chatting. I've noticed that. Yeah, well, the logic is that apparently he got a vision from the Emperor. Yeah, it's just been two people, and it's just been us chatting. I think back to that one that it was just you and me in the last campaign where Lillian and Morrow were just talking while scouting out an area and acting as if they were like they were like, I don't know what we were sort of acting like we were, but we were just... Oh, I assumed it was the literal Emperor himself that helped him. I didn't realise that he just came up with it. Isn't that inherently heresy? For him to be messing with what the Emperor made? That seems weird. That's both new technology and also taking what is considered the embodiment of their god and going... Okay. Yeah, why not? Why not? I guess they needed to make more models, I guess. Taunt this dude. Yep, see ya. See ya. So yeah, I mean, it's been fun talking with people. I'm glad that there's someone in the chat. It's always fun to have someone in the chat. And I mean, there wasn't too much that I was going to really talk about at this point. I would say, one thing I will talk about actually, just while it's on my mind. One of my other friends, Bamanzar Bell, had a bit where he was just chatting on stream, and he talked about the advantages and the sort of stigma around Oh, hey. So yeah, when Baronzar Kobel was talking about on the stream, when he's talking about the stigma and the sort of like the environment behind autism, I thought that was a really good thing to talk about. And I think if you haven't gone and watched that stream, I would definitely say go back and watch it, because I think he goes into a lot of things that, I don't know, it's weird. I don't think it's as big of a stigma anymore with getting like talking about autism, but it's definitely there. So if anyone has any time and wants to go back and watch that VOD, there's a point in it where he stops playing Helldivers and he starts just chatting. This was a couple of streams ago, and just listening to him talk about autism and stuff like that. It's very, very good. Very good. I definitely recommend. Why have you switched back to your other account? What's the logic behind that? Can you only be on one account for a certain amount of time? Did somebody want to use your computer or something? Weird. Oh, I see. I see. I mean, we've got speaking for the first time on the game I'm actually playing, we've got a good chance with this build. This build's not bad. We're doing okay. We're first, but that means nothing because we have all this armor because we're using a weaker hero. Or maybe it's not a weaker hero, but a hero that takes longer to start up. But yeah, we're doing okay here. But for the first time, look, I love auto battlers. I've considered downloading just the TF2 part of League, just to try out the TF2. Auto battler, a team fight tactics, just because that one feels like it gets a lot more updates, or at least like maybe I could switch between them whenever they get a new update. Look, I considered getting League, and if I knew I could have a proper group for League, like maybe 3 people, maybe 4 people for League, I'd give it a shot. Just because it's, I'll be honest, I've watched people play it before. I've watched people playing it before, and it does look interesting, but I'm just worried about the people in it. I'm just worried about the actual people. You know, the horrendous people that are like, expect you to know how to boom and play the game when you've only just started. You know, the people everyone always talks about. But I mean, I might give it a shot at some point. It's kind of when I have a situation where there isn't a game that I'm playing a lot of, I might give League a try. Because like, I've got Helldivers that takes up all my free time at this point. I play Helldivers, I play this, and really that takes up a lot of my time at this point. And I bloody love Helldivers. Such a good game that is. And it's one of the few times where I can act like I'm a hipster. Because I can go, actually, I played Helldivers back in the first game before it was cool. I can say that. Because I did. I mean, I'm 90% sure I played it because somebody, I think maybe you, mentioned it. I like OG Helldivers. I think OG Helldivers is a sort of different kind of game, but it's also very good. But yeah, that game was great. That game was absolutely great. And being able to play now, like, effectively the same game, but in a different format, is really cool. Really, really cool. I'm looking forward to playing more of that. I considered playing it on this stream, but I just didn't feel like it's gonna sound lazy, but I just didn't feel like moving my mouse that much. And so I decided to play a game that wouldn't really care if I was moving my mouse that much. And like I don't have to touch my keyboard at all, really. And it's, you know, it's one of those kinds of things. Yeah, it's just, you know, some days you finish work and you're like, I can't be arsed. I can't be asked doing anything, and so I'm gonna play a game that's relaxing. And inherently, that's what this. Yeah, I love turn-based games. Absolutely adore turn-based games. I wish I played more. There was more turn-based games that I was playing. Turn-based large RPGs are my jam. If every time that I see a large turn-based open-world RPG, I'm like, that's me. They've made a game for me. This hole was made for me, as they say. As they said like ages ago. God, that's an old meme. Do they still say that? This hole was made for me? Is that am I still hip and happening? This goes here. You can go further back. But yeah, like, I absolutely adore turn-based games. Yeah. I'm guessing. I don't know what that's actually from. I never read the actual original thing. I assume it was a horror thing. It kind of looked like a horror thing. It is a horror thing. Yeah, I thought so. God, it was a... It's a... I think we might win. Like, actually, I know we just lost. And I think we lost the previous turn. But, like, I've got this dude. Right? And he's a 6/6, and he dies, and he makes a 7/7, and then I give it +3/+3, so it's a 10/10, and I give it +2, so it's a 12/10. That's pretty good. That's like a pretty good number. A cope emote. I mean, I'd love it if I had emotes, mate. I'm not a Twitch superstar like you. I mean, I guess I could get better BTTV and like add emotes via that, but I don't have official emotes. Yeah, I mean, to me, you're practically a celebrity. I've unironically bragged about you. So you're practically a celebrity to me, mate. Practically a celebrity. Hey, who can say that they make money from their hobby? You can. That's insane. That's a huge step. Let's just say, if I was in your situation and I was making blimmin' money from it, I'd consider myself a... You are objectively a pro streamer. You are completely correct. You are objectively a pro streamer. You can't deny it because you technically are making money from it. And you should hold your head high about that. God, I really wish there was a system in place. Look, that's the only kind of definition I take. Technical definition is the best kind of definition. God, me and Baranzar have been doing Dawn of War on Fridays. We just started it. I absolutely love that game. Absolutely love Dawn of War 2. Sorry, specifically Dawn of War 2. Absolutely love Dawn of War 2. Playing it again after like probably like 5 or maybe even 6 years. That game is still great. It's so fun. I think the only thing that only quote unquote problem we've got is that all of us want to go, both of us want to go melee, and so we're just building all our guys towards melee, which is funny. But yeah, it's such a great game. It's just simple but effective. I mean, it's definitely good. It definitely has a soft spot for being one of the first games I played. So you know, when I got back into gaming again. I think we win this. I actually think we win this. Maybe? Maybe? That's a 42. 42, 42. And these are... yeah, we've got this. We've got this. We've got this. Yeah. You've only got 1 health on that guy. He's dead. Next one. Dead. Next one. Okay, it's got 1 health. Dead. Yes. Okay. We're probably going to get guaranteed 4th now. Yep, that's guaranteed 4th. Yeah, it's insane, right? It's insane. You wouldn't think that, right? You'd be like, you'd think I'd be a gamer going into college, but I'm like a incredibly late gamer. What do I even want to do here? I guess this. Is there anything here I want? That's technically a beast, but no, I'm fine. I guess I could have this one instead of the second mana saber. Look, I was gaming, but it was entirely a Nintendo. That's the thing. I didn't do anything other than Nintendo, really. You get emotes when you partner, don't you? Oh, I'm definitely getting a nerd emote. Definitely getting a nerd emote. I think you only get emotes when you partner, which, I mean, sorry, affiliate. That's what I meant. That's what I meant. And believe me, I am pretty far from that. I think the highest concurrent views I've ever gotten was, I think I had 4 concurrent views at one point, and I'm 90% sure that might have been you again, me, and 1 dude occasionally appearing. Which easily could have been a bot. No, he's got the follower count, he doesn't have the concurrent views. He gets about 3 to 4 concurrent views. And I think you need 5 concurrent views over a period. Well, I don't think it's over a period of time. You just have to have 5 concurrent views. And I don't think he's gotten it. I think he got close. I think he would have had... Oh, is it average 3? Well, I think he's got an average 3. And he definitely has enough followers. So maybe he's quite close. I don't know. I thought it was the concurrent view count that was screwing him over. But if you're saying that you only need 3 average, like, the other day when he was doing that collab, he definitely was getting 4 on average. 100%, so maybe he is close to it. I didn't want to talk about it in case it was like a sore spot for him or something. Oh, okay, so it is over an average day, okay. So that's maybe what is needed. But that's a matter of time then. Because he is averaging, like, when I go and see him, he very occasionally he'll have, like I've seen a situation where I joined and there was 4, and so I would have been the 5th. So he would definitely have been averaging 3 then. So, in conclusion, I think he's close. But, like, I've got a while. Like, you're not getting that nerd emoji for a while, I'll tell you that much. Because I'm, ever since I put that thing as the first time chatter thing, I went from getting about one every sort of week. Like, I don't know, it's a luck thing, mate. I'm sure it could be a luck thing, it could be a personality thing, I don't know. I'm not seeing this as like a career at any point, right? So as long as I'm having fun doing what I'm doing, then I'm not really too arsed about what the number is. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd love to have the number be higher. I'd love to, like, have people... Yeah, obviously. You need to have a decent amount of subscribers. That's just on subs, though, right? You're not counting bits there. But if you had, like, say 500 subs, so even if you had, like, 100 subs, you're still making enough money from that you can start pouring all of that into getting new technology, or just, like, luxuries for yourself, right? It's not another job on top of your job, but it's a decent amount of money coming in. Like, it's not insignificant. And if you can get people instead giving to stuff that maybe gives you... I don't know how much I'm allowed to talk about on... I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to talk about specifics on other, like, channels of money that you can do, specifically on Twitch, without breaking any, like, TOSs or something. But, like, there are other avenues where you can get money without them taking as much of a cut. Like, so there are situations. I've seen people that have been on, like, concurrent views will be, like, pretty low. Like, I'm talking, in the scheme of things, like, I'm talking, maybe, like, 50. And even with that number, they're making money. Like, they're making it as a career. It's not going... I'm not going to say it's going incredibly well for them, but they're making money out of it. And they're making, like, a lifestyle out of it. Maybe they've got, like, a part-time job or something, but... Okay, I'm pretty sure this is the guy I lost to. Is he the Quillbore guy? Yeah, he's the Quillbore guy. I don't see how I win this. I guess I could get rid of this one. I'm going to do this, and it may screw me over, but I think it's the right decision. Yeah, the Streamlabs one. Although I do wonder, when it comes to cash stuff... Yeah, don't worry about it, No, I tell you what, I'll give you a rundown. So there's this person that dies, and it summons 201 couplings with Taunt, right? And then I've got this person that whenever I summon a beast, it gives me +6/+6. And this person, where whenever I summon a beast, it doubles its stats. And so what happens is this one dies, it summons two 0-1s, they immediately get +6/+6, and then it's doubled. So they're not 0-1s, they're 12 13s. And then this dude gets +1 health permanently every time a beast is summoned. This one summons a 7/7, and this one summons two 2/2s that then themselves can summon 1/1s. And so my whole shtick is that I just keep summoning dudes and buff them. That's how the beasts work. So this one dies. Boom. boom, they're just buffed, and then continue. Whereas this person is using these things called blood gems, which are like spells that you cast on somebody to give you +1/+1. But they have all these people like this that every time 2 people die, they put 2 blood gems on all your quill boars. And then they've got people like this one, where whenever a blood gem is played on it, it gives two blood gems to everybody else, which then can go infinite if you just have these guys, because they keep giving it to each other. And that's when you have like 500 damage ones. And this is why I can't win, is because I don't understand how to make these incredibly good builds like this. And instead I just rely on, I get all of these dudes that I like, that are all part of the same clan. Although I think I might win this. I think, is this the first win that I ever get on stream? It is. I did it! I actually did it! I got a win! That's first! That says first! Appear! First! That says first! Somebody screenshot that. It's definitely because I had emotional support. I did it. I actually did it, and it's with a hero I didn't know. That's my first win. Clip it. I'm clipping that. I'm clipping that. I'm clipping that. I'm clipping that. In fact, I'll do that exactly when I come off the stream, which I will be coming off right now. I hope everyone's had fun. I just got my first win. I'm feeling great. See you next time. Bye.